All right, in this video, we're going to be talking about new construction homes in and around the Calgary area. And take it from me, there are definitely pros and cons when it comes to building a brand new home. And I'm going to walk you through some of those in this video, and hopefully that's going to be really helpful to you. I've had a lot of experience over the years helping people do this, so hopefully you're going to find in this video this is going to be quite helpful. And if you like what you're seeing in this video, what I want you to do is hit the subscribe button. And of course, if you would like to see more of these videos, you can also ring the bell because it'll notify you when I do one of these videos. And it would be great if you like my video too, if you're impressed with it. You know, for most people, the reason they love new homes is, well, first of all, you can get some of the colors and the finishes picked out the way you want, which is great. You know, there's the new floor plans, there's the new home smell, of course, that's always a bonus. But for most people, it's that, hey, no one's ever lived here before, it's ours, we got to pick everything we like, and that's really great, and that's certainly one of the reasons that people do it. And also you'll find that maybe there's a little peace of mind that, hey, it's brand new and not much can go wrong, and if it is any problems that do happen, I'm covered by warranty. So let's talk about warranty just for a moment. Just remember this, warranty is an insurance company, all right? So you have to really be careful when you're looking at brand new construction. You want to read your warranty really carefully. Usually the builder gives you like 1 year where the builder covers absolutely everything. Even that sometimes isn't perfect. Most builders are great, but the odd one doesn't always come back and fix those little things that they should in a timely fashion. In fact, I've even seen a couple of cases where the builder never came back at all. So you have to watch for that. But warranty also, you have to understand, because it's an insurance policy, you know, they will not necessarily make it easy for you. You do have to be diligent and you have to know really what's covered. It's not like absolutely everything is covered, so really read that warranty carefully. And you should also be concerned with which new home warranty company you're getting. They're not all created equal. All right, let's talk about the process of buying a new home. Well, sometimes people say to me, well, do I just go directly to the builder? I mean, why would I need an industry member or a real estate agent like myself to help you buy a new home? Well, let me give you a couple of reasons why someone like me can be very helpful. You know, when you go deal with the builder, you have to remember one thing. Even though the builder is definitely wanting to build you a good home and they're trying to create a good experience for you, they're more or less just doing what you want them to do. They're not necessarily giving you counsel on, you know, what'll have good resale value, and they don't necessarily highlight some of the challenges that you might face over the course of the build. Having someone like me that has seen some things go wrong and who understands the builder contracts can really be helpful. Just to give you a couple of examples. In these builder contracts, they use the word seasonal deficiencies. It's kind of interesting. Some things when you're building a home do take a little time because of, you know, the season that you're in. For example, if you're putting in the concrete sidewalks and it's a heavily rainy type of a spring, they may have to delay putting the sidewalks in. But your occupancy permit can be ready and the builder can say, hey, I'm giving you the 45-day notice and we expect you to pay in full. But there still may be some things that aren't done yet, like your sidewalks, sometimes even the concrete in your driveway, or perhaps some decorative rock outside. So there's a few things that aren't done yet. And then when you take possession of your home, sometimes you go around with the builder and there's some deficiencies inside the house and they put little pieces of tape everywhere, which just drives me crazy because you're paying in full for this house and that's what they expect. And you are at the mercy of the builder to come back and do these things. Now, I'll tell you, most builders are really good at this and they do come back and everything's fine, but I've just done this a long time, so I've seen some builders that just haven't always come in a timely fashion, and I've had clients that had to call and call and call. So there are some ways to try to deal with that. Sometimes the builder will accept a holdback of funds. If some of these things aren't done, sometimes they won't. Kind of depends on the market conditions, but I think it's really good for you as a buyer to understand that some of these things do exist and you have to be aware of them. Another one is on the contract. When you get your 45-day notice, you're expected to pay in full. And if you don't pay in full in that 45 days, if you read your contract, most of these builders have like 24% interest for being late. You want to be aware of that as well. These contracts, I'm not saying they're bad, but I am saying they're really geared towards making sure that the builder has a high level of protection as well. You got to remember, this is a partnership with you and the builder. They don't know you, you don't know them. They have to be sure that you're going to follow, right through to the finish line and close on the sale and not give them too much static, and they can get paid and be done for building your home. And at the same time, you want to be sure that they live up to what they say they're going to do. So it is a partnership, it's a contractual agreement, but the builder is the one that hires their lawyer to do these contracts. It's not like you hired your lawyer to do it. So you have to read these contracts carefully. Someone like me has a lot of experience in this. We can give you some guidance around it, because take it from me, these builders, when they read these contracts to you, they don't go through them word perfect. They don't necessarily explain some of the pitfalls. They more or less highlight all of the wonderful things in these contracts and make it sound like everything's roses and rainbows and we're gonna have this great, wonderful experience. And don't worry, we're a good builder and it's all fine. It just isn't always that way, and you have to be aware of it. All right, so when you get into the point where you're working with the builder and once you've signed your contract with them, there are two types of homes that you can get from the builder. You can get what they call a spec house or ready to move in house. Now these homes, by the way, the builder has built them on what they call spec, meaning that they've already built similar homes already in the neighborhood. And they can actually do these homes for a little bit more affordable because they're already building maybe the same house already 3 times in the same neighborhood. So they'll just add a couple more. And then what they'll do is once it's built, they'll just put them on the market and sell them as a spec house. So you can't make too many changes. Sometimes you can put in the colors you want, but you can't like pick the floor plan and that sort of thing. So be aware of that. But if you're building from the ground up, there's definitely going to be a lot of decisions that you have to make. And you got to be prepared for this. I mean, they're going to be asking you about all the finishes that you have to pick, all your fixtures that you want to pick. They're going to give you budgets for each one. And mark my words on this, the budgets they give you won't oftentimes meet the amount that they're giving you and what you actually want. I don't know how many times I've had clients where we went to look at lights and they're like, oh, we really like these lights, but it's pretty easy to break the budget. And of course, the price goes up from there. So to stay on budget sometimes can be very challenging with builders when you're only limited to what they give you, especially when it comes to appliances. I mean, I look at most of these appliance packages. I mean, they're pretty skinny. You're not getting like a lot of high-end appliances or really good brand appliances for the budget they're giving you. So you definitely want to factor that in. And please don't forget this. People so often do. Once you build, you're still gonna have to do the landscaping. You're still gonna have to put in fences. You're going to probably have to get window coverings. So there's some extra costs that you may have not necessarily thought of after you move into the property. All right, let's just talk about some of the risks to building and how you can minimize some of these risks. Remember I said earlier in this video, this is a partnership between you and the builder? Well, what makes good partnerships is also to be aware of what your partner is doing. So the last thing you want to do when you're building is just leave everything in the hands of the builder, okay? I would highly recommend get to know the crew that's working on your house. It's not a bad idea to show up on Friday with some Tim Hortons, and it makes for, a good experience with the crew. They know you, they know you're nice, and then the crew wants to do those extra things for you. And believe me when I tell you, they can make mistakes. I don't know how many times I've seen it where we've shown up, well, they got the window in the wrong spot, or it wasn't the right size door, and you can catch these things early, but it can be a little more devastating if you wait until things are finished and you go, hey, the window wasn't supposed to be there. They're not gonna go back, they're gonna make some concessions, but then it becomes a situation where you're not getting exactly what you want. So you need to be very involved in your build, and you need to be going very regularly to meet the crew and have great communication with the builder and make sure those checks and balances are there and you're looking at the blueprints. And your job as the homeowner is to make sure that that builder is doing it exactly the way you want it. Now, some people they like to buy real estate that is new construction because they like the idea that maybe I could make a deal today and the property won't be built for about a year, which is right now about how long things take. And they're doing it more of an investment or trying to get into maybe a flip situation or try to see if the value of the property goes up from the time that they make a deal with the builder and for when it actually is going to be ready about a year later. So there's a few things you should be aware of. Number one, we never know what the market's going to be like a year from now. I mean, right now in Calgary, the market looks pretty good and there's no reason to think that it wouldn't be better a year from now, but stranger things have happened and we've seen markets correct rather quickly. So that is a risk that you have to be willing to accept. Some builders also have a clause in the contract that doesn't let you flip. So if you're trying to assign the contract to someone else or sell it to someone else right after you buy it, there's actually some builders and some projects around the Calgary area where you have to keep the house for at least a year before you can sell it again. So you got to be aware of that too. And also, you know, the other thing that is a little unpredictable is interest rates. Are they going to be up a little higher? They're going to be up a little lower. But there are some lenders that do allow you to lock in your interest rate if you're building. I happen to know a few that you're guaranteed at the rate that it's at today. If it goes lower, you get the lower rate. But of course, if it goes up, you still keep the lower rate, which is very helpful to know that, so you're not putting yourself at risk for higher rates at that time. The other thing you want to be aware of when you wait a whole year is that if you're building in a brand new subdivision, you got to remember something. If you want to sell it before that subdivision is done, you're also competing against builders as well when you sell. And I've seen this so many times where, you know, you might have a home that's might be a year old or, you know, 18 months old, and they're trying to sell it at a higher price, and yet the builder is selling it at a lower price. You just have to remember when you're dealing with new construction in these subdivisions, until that subdivision is completely built, you're always going to be competing with the builder. So if the market shifts a little bit, builders can offer incentives and be a little bit more aggressive on the price. That can hurt your value as well, and that's some of the risks to new constructions you have to be aware of. You know, the nicest thing about working with someone like myself when you're building and just talking about some of these different risks and reward and pros and cons that go with building is that you can have someone like me that's with you throughout the journey, all the way to the finish line. So I'm there to point out some things that maybe you don't necessarily recognize. There may be some questions that you might not think to ask. And that's the real benefit to working with someone like me. And the nice thing is builders cooperate with agents, meaning that it doesn't cost you extra. They offer the fee that I charge for what I do is already built into the price of these properties. So it's not anything extra to you. They just offer it to us as industry members, and you can still have someone like me help you do this. And more often than not, you're able to get to the finish line with a minimal amount of issues because we can put some of those fires out before they become fires. So once again, if this video has been helpful, please like it. That would be great if you would. Please subscribe and you'll be receiving more of these videos as I do them. And of course, you can also ring the bell and you'll get notified as I put these videos on in the future.